The Biden administration has announced that it will give Ukraine anti-personnel mines to help it slow Russia's battlefield advances, marking the second major shift on US military support for Kyiv in many days. After following Ukraine to use longer-range American missiles to launch the strikes deeper into Russia, US Defense Secretary Lord Austin has said that the shift in Washington's policy on anti-personnel landmines for Ukraine was needed to counter changing Russian tactics. Moscow's bigger army is slowly pushing Ukraine's forces backward in the eastern Donetsk region, while Ukrainian civilians are being maimed and killed by Russian drones and missiles often fired from inside Russia. Biden administration officials say they are determined to help Ukraine as much as possible before he leaves the office. And they announced that the US intends to cancel half of the debt of some $4.6 billion Ukraine owes to the country. Now, State Department spokesman Matthew Miller has said that US lawmakers were informed of the move this week and that he does not expect them to pass a resolution of the disapproval to try to stop the loan forgiveness because of the bipartisan support for Ukraine in the current Congress. Let's now listen into what he has said.
You heard the Secretary of Defense speak to earlier today that we are providing the Ukrainian government with non-persistent anti-personnel landmines. We have been providing them with anti-tank landmines for some time, but this is the first time we are providing them with anti-personnel landmines. There are a few things that I think are important to note about this new provision of equipment to the Ukrainians. One is that, as you have heard the Secretary say many times, we always adapt and adjust our policies based on real-world events. And the real-world events that we have seen are Russian advances, specifically Russian infantry advances in eastern Ukraine. And these non-persistent anti-personnel landmines are designed to blunt those types of infantry advances. They are very different from the landmines that the Russians have deployed and that you have seen other militaries, including our own military, deployed decades ago. The landmines that the Russians have deployed in Ukraine, and there are somewhere around 2 million landmines that the Russians have deployed, will remain a threat for decades. Can go off at any time and harm not just soldiers but civilians, and will long outlast the conflict. What that means is they are battery powered, and they have a battery, and they can be set. The battery will expire somewhere between 4 hours and 2 weeks, at the most 2 weeks from when they are deployed. So the landmines will be deployed, and then within 2 weeks, if they have not been detonated, they become inert. So they will not pose a threat to the civilian population at the end of the conflict. Now, that said, they also have a high metal content, so they're easy to detect and easy to remove. And we know Ukraine is going to have to conduct an operation at the end of the conflict to remove unexploded ordnance already, both from the 2 million landmines that Russia has deployed, as well as other unexploded ordnance. They have already been conducting that type of operation in some of the territory that they have recaptured, and the United States is committed to provide them $284 million.
All right, my colleague Belly Thomas joins me live on the broadcast on this very important news break, where in a major policy shift, the United States has in fact decided to send the anti-personnel mines to Ukraine for the first time. And this is in fact a very important news break that we are confirming, as Secretary of Defense Lord Austin has confirmed yesterday only. The decision is coming just days after the US gave Ukraine permission to fire long-range US missiles at targets in Russia, and a shift that only occurred months after the Russia-Ukraine lobbying from Kyiv. Now, Belly, in fact, in this important breakthrough, what is the latest that you're tracking from, in fact, Ukraine? Has there been any response generated after this major policy shift has yielded some positive days for Ukraine?
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.